Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka like Queen Lisa. Today is Friday, so you guys know what that means. We always wear red, drink out of something red, get something red because we remember everyone deployed RED on Fridays. So it's happy hour. Let's see what Westwood's drinking right after this. Happy Friday, Westwood.
Happy Friday. Am I on? Am I live?
You're on.
Oh, shoot. I'm on, baby. I don't even know. So I was testing some tequila.
Oh, testing tequila.
Testing, taste
Did
testing.
it pass?
Yeah, I mean, I got this big bottle my wife brought me home. And I'm like, oh, that looks very nice. It's a 1.75. It's huge.
Wow.
So I'm like, I open it up and I'm like, oh, yeah, that smells like tequila, and I had some. So I've been sampling that and a couple of others. And so, I might be on my way here. Oh,
wow,
goodness.
What a good wife.
I know, right? But now I'm drinking old fashioned.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Cheers.
You switch to bourbon. Oh, yeah, here. Cheers.
Cheers.
We're going to be doing a live cheers, real cheers.
Yep.
And what? 2 weeks from today? Two
No,
weeks
not
from today,
today.
live.
1 week.
No, it's not next week.
It's not next week.
Yeah, it's not next week.
No,
it's not next week.
Mitch isn't ready. It's not next week. I think
week after next.
It's 2 weeks from today, right?
Week after next?
All right.
Right?
The 21st. What's today? The 7th?
Yeah. So 2 weeks from today.
So 2 weeks from today. 14 days is our happy hour. Is our happy hour live. Lisa's like, son of a. Now I got to rearrange stuff in my head, calendar wise.
Okay.
All right.
Recalculating, rerouting.
Check your reservation and make sure.
I need to redo my. I need to figure this out.
It's not wrong. Is it okay? Well, now I've added more stress to you. Hey, it can be next week if you want to.
That's okay.
It can be next week. Go to QuintWestwood.net. Click the big link at the top for all the details.
I have to reschedule some things.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
It's fine. No, it's fine.
No, it's not fine. Because now you're recalculating, like Mitch said.
We may have a little friend with us.
Hey, whatever works.
Whatever works.
I can make popcorn.
Yep. That might work.
Got a carnival.
Somehow. Yeah, actually, that may work out great.
Well, there you go. I mean, there's all of this and that and everything. And you know what? The universe works in mysterious ways,
Yeah.
and you just kind of, if you roll with that fortune cookie, open that up and, just let it spit out whatever.
Sometimes the fortune cookie gives you a secret message. Yes. You get the one that's different from everyone at the table. Follow the fortune cookie.
Yes, follow the fortune cookies. I need to retweet this or something to re-X this. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I need to retweet it first.
Well, and I'm still unable. Every once in a while, Facebook thinks that I'm a whatever scripted actor, and it stops letting me post on or shared from StreamYard to Facebook. So I'm once again unable to stream to Facebook, but I can still stream to X and both of our YouTube accounts and Pilled and Odyssey. So we're on all those platforms. But,
yes. You're on Westwood's channel too until that gets taken down.
Yes, we're up there. All the places, but
I don't even know what I'm doing.
I have to repost it on Facebook.
It's all good in the hood. That's what Parker says. It's all good in the hood. It's all good in the hood.
And Parker is one of our friends that joins on Spaces. One of the things, so I was thinking about this. I have my Patreon and people can message me there. And you can find my Patreon link on most of my not on this one video, because all I put was a link to clintwestwood.net where you can find information about the meetup coming up on June 21st in Metamora, Illinois. So that's where you can get all the information about meeting us and joining us there. We're gonna have a great weekend, lots of stuff going on. But on any of my other videos, there's a link to my Patreon. And I start thinking, you know, one great perk would be if I did a live, so I can have like up to 10 people join here. So I'd have to do it on Zoom, where I can have like up to 100 people that could join us live on Zoom, like right after. We could do like a after happy hour, have people join that are patrons.
Yeah.
Right after happy hour, before we go to Twitter Spaces. So that could be like a perk for.
Are we doing Twitter Spaces after happy hour that night?
Probably not the night that we're in Metamora.
Yeah. Well, we might do it another night.
Yeah, because when we're all in the same room and then people have their phones on and it gets really
yeah,
crazy.
it's like if you want to be part of Spaces, you need to show up and be in the space, I guess.
Yeah.
It's actually called The Room. We can call it The Space if you want, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the people that own the bar might not want to call it The Space because they already.
Well, if you drink enough and you buy enough, they might consider it for the night.
The space,
honorary space
or the bar instead of the room.
Right.
I don't know.
Room space, space room, Space Force room.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't know. Let's go to Mars.
Yeah. What was the deal with the Elon rocket that launched this week?
I don't know. I'm so out of the loop. Cannon
sure
is
where it went,
really
what it was
sick,
doing.
and I've been in the hospital with him, and we've had all kinds of things. So I'm really out of it, you guys. I apologize. We almost didn't have a happy hour.
I assumed we weren't.
If it wasn't for my amazing husband encouraging me to go hang out with my BFF, he was like, "You just need a Westwood hug." He's like, "Go do happy hour."
Yes. I wish I could grab you right now, just pull you through the screen.
Yeah, he was like, "Go talk to Westwood. You need it. Go be with the community." And so I really look forward to this time with the community and with all of you guys talking about what's going on in the world, and thinking about that there is hope, that
Absolutely,
the Patriots are winning. That I watched.
Hey, the laptop is real. It's not a Russian disinformation campaign.
Right. More and more people are waking up. I watched the Dr. Phil Trump interview, which was pretty interesting. I thought
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it. Okay.
No, I haven't watched it yet.
So it was a lot of his typical talking points,
Salvador guy.
Yeah. Oh, I watched that one too. With Tucker and the Bukele.
MS-13. I saw the clip of the MS-13 talk he had. It's like 7 minutes long.
Good. I watched that one.
Yeah. It's laying it out there. A little history. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. When you're in the hospital, you can watch lots of stuff.
Yeah. CNN right now.
Well, no, it's mostly on your computer. But anyway, so Dr. Phil and Trump, lots of typical Trump talking points, like in his speeches and whatever. But one thing where he changed the narrative or turned things on its head, and he, instead of doing what everyone expects him to do, which is be vindictive, lock her up, which he lets the crowd say lock her up. Remember when the tide turned and he stopped calling her names. He stopped calling Hillary names, and he started calling her beautiful Hillary, which a lot of people think that's when she was gone, but we don't know.
She's got doubles and triples. We know that.
We don't
seen them.
know. We don't know.
Oh.
But now he has. So Dr. Phil goes into this, like, kind of walks him into this thing. You have an opportunity. You could be a hero. If you were to win, you could change you could bring people together. You could be a hero. You could change things. And instead of people anticipate that you are going to go after them, you're going to get your pound of flesh, you're going to blah, blah, blah. And instead, you could not do what they did to you. You know, they prosecuted you. They're doing this. They put or trying to put Steve Bannon. I don't know if he actually
I
went to
know.
jail or not for contempt of
Yeah,
Congress.
for exercising free speech and then being in contempt for exercising the First Amendment.
Yeah. And you know, Hunter
Word police.
walked in and sat in Congress while he was in contempt of Congress, sat in front of them, but they didn't arrest him. But you know, but they
Just
are going
walked
to
out.
put Steve Bannon in prison for it.
Yeah.
For contempt of Congress. But anyway, so it's rules for the whatever. But they're saying, he's telling Trump, like, you could bring people together by not. And he says, you know, I think you'll be very happy. I think you'll be surprised and you'll be very happy to see what we decide to do or what we're going to do or something like this. And so it was very much not a, yeah, I'm going to get mine. I'm going to go after them. These people are going to be in jail. It was not the, you know, that when he was debating Hillary and he said, because you would be in jail. He didn't threaten to jail her or worse, what she probably deserves. And so I was personally a little disappointed because
Like a lot
I think
of
a
people
lot
were.
of us have been waiting for the Nurembergs and the
Sure.
justice and whatever. But at the same time, it's like, well, is it about our pound of flesh or is it about us moving into peace?
Right. Is it
I
about
don't know.
revenge? Because that just starts
Right.
more wars and causes more feuds. And
Does it ever end if it ends in
It doesn't.
revenge?
no, it doesn't.
I don't know.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. And I guess the thing is, and I got my issues with Trump. I do. I got my issues with everybody. So just so you know, but except the lovely like Gwen Lisa. There is, and maybe Mitch occasionally. No. So it's if I look at what Trump did in the first term, never saw him go after anybody really. I mean, yeah, he fired Comey and this and that. You know, and there's a lot of people are like, you should have put all these people in jail, this and that. It's, you know, it's not his job to do that, though. It's not his authority to do that. And so everything he did, he kind of played out constitutionally, I think. You know, and I watched, and I didn't see him do anything that violated or overstepped. I mean, you know, it was really just business-like, by the book, using the manual. I mean, there may be something that somebody can pull out, but nothing huge that I ever saw that he did anything, you know, that overstepped his bounds when he could have. So I just don't think he's that guy that's going to be that, bring out the guillotines. You know, I just don't see that. It's just, it doesn't.
I mean, he did mention quick trial, but
and
then
that's fine. You got a right to a quick and speedy trial in the Constitution. That never happened. So let's have a quick trial. Let's get it done. You know, and if you're guilty, you're guilty. You know, let the 12 people decide. That's simple, right?
No, it was really interesting. So
no,
that was probably the most like pivotal or the biggest unexpected part of that interview for me.
He was never tyrannical in anything he's done. And then you compare, I mean, you know, every other president besides him, you know, in my lifetime that I'm aware of. I mean, the things they did, I mean, behind the scenes that we find out later, I mean, holy cow. I mean, why aren't they on trial? All of them, even Reagan. I mean, hate to say it, you know, but I mean, could have been senile at the time, and you know, all his operatives are running things, which I kind of get the sense when you've got a former CIA director that, you know, was going to dinner with the guy that shot the president and didn't kill him, and you know, he's vice president. And anyway, but that's a whole other thing. John Hinckley Jr.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, co-opted. I was talking about it last night on Hash It Out. There's a show on Netflix, and it's been out. I think it was on Showtime, and Netflix just released it, the 2 seasons of it. It's Your Honor, like yes, Your Honor. But you know, it's double meaning. It's like Your Honor. What is? I
heard you guys talking about this last night on the
good show.
I was watching Hash It Out. If you guys haven't seen Hash It Out, go over to Blind Dave's channel, watch Hash It Out.
Yeah.
Steak, Hobby, Westwood, and Blind Dave are on there, and they have some really great commentary on there.
Yeah. So I mean, you know what that comes down to? It's like, what are people willing to do our people, you know, and I thought about it today, I dwelled on it a little bit, you know, I thought about it, you know, and what's the real meaning of it. And I like it because if you ever seen Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston, I think that's his name.
I can't watch it. It bores me.
You know, it's that is it's the same kind of concept to where every decision that you make can lead to another decision you got to do. You know, in other words, if you make one bad decision, okay, now I got to clean that up. Oh my gosh, now it's this. And you're constantly cleaning it up, and then it just keeps snowballing and snowballing and getting bigger and bigger. And then everybody's making these decisions that are like kind of unethical. They really didn't want to, but they felt like they had to for whatever reason, to protect the son, to protect their position as a politician. I mean, you know, it's just a small thing. And then it leads to another and another and another. And pretty soon, they don't even know who they are anymore. And I think that's what happens. I mean, you know, that's why I think that it's important to realize, you know, we're all mixtures of good and evil. We all have the capability to do bad things, and we all have the capability to do very heroic things. And it's just the decisions that you make, and that's why morality, that's why laws are put in place to kind of prevent you from doing those things. And because, I mean, as a human being, you know, you might say, it's just a small thing. I'll just do it this one time just because I you know, it's for a greater good. Well, then, like, oh, shoot, somebody found out about it. Now I'm going to lose my position where I can help all these people unless I cover this up now. And then somebody ends up getting killed, you know, and then you got to cover that up because you you know, and it just snowballs. And it's just, but I don't think most people like are evil by nature, but they might be interpreted as becoming evil through their actions because might not be bad people, but they just continually do things to kind of, you know, and then they end up being bad, even though they're really not.
Yeah. Well, I think that's humanity. That's lessons that we all learn. And
absolutely,
you know, I've taught myself and my kids, and we all go through that. Nobody's perfect. And those are lessons of humanity. Pimpy's in the house. He said,
Pimpy in the house.
And he said, I'm half drunk. So
he's drunk-ish.
He's doing pretty good then.
Drunk-ish.
You guys watch Pimpy on the Other Side of Things. That's one of his channels.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I didn't want to get off on that diatribe again, but it folds into everything that I'm about. And, you know, human beings are human beings, and we've always been human beings, and we go through the same struggles. We go through the same pain, anguish. We go through the same joy and happiness. We go through tough decisions that we have to make. And when you're in a position up here, it's very important what decision you make. And I guess, you know, when I look at Trump, I didn't see him, at least on the surface, do anything that did not basically push it back to the people, push it back to Congress, let them make the decisions.
Yeah.
No things that were like, hey, so, you know, this whole idea that he's going to come in and be some tyrant, I just don't see it. I really don't see that happening. So,
yeah. The other interview you mentioned and I really enjoyed was Bukele with Tucker, right? Tucker, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he would kind of talk about the U.S. and then he'd go, but I shouldn't be talking about, you know, U.S. politics or the situation in the U.S. They talked about, you know, getting, they said, you know, he said, like, how did you do it? And he talked about being able to travel being so important, and that safety and the ability to travel. And that made me think of, like, there's all these laws about the Oklahoma Turnpike right now, authority. And there were laws about the trains when our Constitution was being, well, it wasn't the Constitution. There were laws about the trains and the slavery system or something, and about traveling. And they had like boards put up in the train about like where Black people sat and where slaves sat or something like that. There's something about the right to travel, and that being significant in our freedom and with our, I think there's some language around that we've been enslaved with that we don't really understand. It makes me wonder if that's like tied up in the maritime law. Or
it is. I mean, yes, you have the right to free travel. And then, so you think, okay, why can't I drive a car down the road and not get pulled over if I'm doing nothing wrong, and then and even that, go even deeper. If you're not committing a crime that affects someone, basically injures
If no
someone
crime
else.
has been committed,
Right. If you haven't injured another person and their rights and their liberties, then I mean, you can make the argument that what's wrong with going 100 miles down the road? You know, it doesn't matter what the speed limit is. You know, but if you do kill somebody, then you are going to be held accountable. And so that's the extreme case of why are they trying to do pre-crime? And that's really what a speed limit is. That's what, you know, all this stuff is. Wear your seatbelt, this and that. And it's like, hey, if I want to smash my head against the windshield, it's my right? You know, I mean, you know, I'm not hurting anybody else. And they'll say, well, you know, and they make all the excuses. But, you know, what gives someone a right, a force, the right to pull you over and pull you out of a car, ask for your identity, where are you going, what are you doing? I mean, you don't have the right to free travel anymore at that point. So if you don't have that right, then aren't you just a slave that's going to get returned to the plantation? I mean, if you think about it, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of infrastructure put in place to control you. And I told you the story. I went on that Oklahoma tollway down to see you, and I got off on the exit, and I forgot to pay on the way back. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, they're going to send me a bill for $1, you know, and I never got a bill. And then I think, wait a minute, maybe it's because they don't have jurisdiction because they don't live in the state. You know what I mean? What are they going to do? They're going to come get me and say, I'm going to drag you back to Oklahoma and put you on trial? They really don't have any way to take anything away from me because I'm not licensed there. They can't take my license. I have no property there. What are they going to do?
Because they say that they're going to mail you a bill to your
Never got it.
plate,
It takes a
but they
while.
don't have your information.
Over a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it took me like 3 months.
Yeah. But I mean, when did you get the bill? Was it in the state that you reside in that you got the bill, or was it in Illinois?
It's from Oklahoma.
Oh, you got one from
It came to
Oklahoma?
my house.
Really? See, I never got
My
one.
my car's registered.
Right, because they scan the plate and they're like, boom, send it.
So it sent it. The bill.
See, I never got one, and I'm like,
$3.46.
yeah. And then what if you didn't pay it? I guess.
Well, it continues to go up.
But
if you
never go to Oklahoma again,
if you never pay it, you get pulled over. You'll get a ticket.
right? You have like a bench warrant in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're good. If you show up down here again, they're arresting
Yeah.
you.
Jurisdiction. You know, if you're not residing there, if you're not traveling there, just avoid Oklahoma, I guess. I mean, you know, I can't do that
That's
though.
kind of a problem considering.
It's a problem for me. For you.
Yeah.
No.
You got luck.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Anyway.
Yeah.
You
But
want to talk
anyways,
about the
we
right to
started with it being
Go ahead.
important that people could move around safely because they were able to do commerce, to be able to be successful. So they had to be able to move freely. So they had to get rid of the MS-13, or is it 13? And then he talked about that the MS-13 became so powerful because they were satanic.
It was a spiritual war, and that's what I liked
It
that he
was
got
a
into.
spiritual.
And
Yes.
and Tucker said, well, why don't other presidents or why don't other leaders talk about it being a spiritual war? And like he said, what's his name? I can't think. The El Salvador president.
Bukele.
He's what's his name?
Bukele.
Bukele. All right, Bukele. So he actually said that if you win the spiritual war, the physical war will take care of itself.
Mhm.
And so that's makes sense when you think about it. And you know, him saying that MS-13, it became satanic. They did satanic things. They did rituals. I mean, because they're serving a lower power, I guess you could say. And it's that spiritual battle. And I've always thought that we are in a spiritual battle, and it manifests through physical action. But if you fix it at the spiritual level, then you know you're not manifesting that darkness. But he went into the history of MS-13 and said, hey, listen, it was formed in the United States, and then they got exported, then it came back. And it's a crazy, you know, mindset more than anything, a cult, a religion, a, you know, spiritual connection. And that's the thing you got to realize, but no leader talks about that. And they need to. He is. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. And then he went back to the money.
Yes.
Yeah. And how important that was. And that Bitcoin. and that it wasn't centralized and that it was given to the people, and how important that was. So
Yeah,
I don't know. It was
absolutely.
pretty amazing.
It was a good interview. Yeah.
It was really a good interview.
That's really what it comes down to. It's like you've got to be able to have power over your energy, and that can be spiritual energy. That can be all the energy that you encompasses you. You've got to be able to have control of that to be able to make your own decisions. And my thesis is most people are good. Yes, we are, like I said, mixtures of good and evil. But I think, when you look at the pie chart, it's like all green and then maybe a sliver of bad. But that's just that decisions bad. Like I was talking about before, you kind of make bad decisions. You might do bad things, but are you a bad person? No, I think most people are good. And it's a country song, I think. And so you,
Playing in my head.
yeah, there you go. I believe, yeah. But I do, and I think that if people have the ability to live the lives that they want to live unencumbered, I don't think they're going to go out just shooting people randomly. You know what I mean? Most people just want to be kind of left alone, do their own thing, go to the fair, have fun, meet people, and not worry about a Federal Reserve or an IRS or, all these 3-letter agencies, the FBI, all these things. Well, let's see what we can find on you. Let's see what we can do to get you to break the rules. All this thick books of rules we've created. And it's just, if most people are left alone, I think most people are going to do the right thing. And if they don't do the right thing, the community ensures that they do the right thing. I mean, really. Self-police in a good way. So just my thinking.
Well, and there's a story that a friend of mine told me that he said that his grandmother or great grandmother, I can't remember, said that she told him this story about, back in the olden days, that the community, there was a very somber occasion. It was a very small town, dirt roads, small town,
Yeah.
and someone's, young adult child or whatever, but someone in the community's young adult child had got caught stealing a neighbor's horse. And, the penalty of that is to be hung to death. And so the community knew what they had to do. They had to hold them accountable. And so it wasn't like, oh, come on, we're going to go get this guy. It was this somber moment of holding a community member accountable that, oh my gosh, we know whose child this is. We know it's a family member of a family that we respect in the community, but they have, somebody in their family that did something wrong, and we're going to have to go hold them accountable. And so it was and they snuck out, and the grandmother's like, get back in the house, and everyone was very somber, and they saw like the feeling of the community. It weighed heavy on the community.
Sure.
That they were having to hold someone accountable. It wasn't like, what we see in the movies where people are like, yay, pitchforks and whatever. Yeah, it's not cheering and jeering and whatever. It's this very somber moment of, holding someone accountable for their actions, and the weight of watching sin on somebody, and I think that, and I guess that's where like when Trump was talking with Dr. Phil, and he said, you have this opportunity, and if you win, are you going to go after these people? And he said, I think you're going to be surprised, because you have this opportunity to bring people together for peace. And when Trump was president the first time, he's the most peaceful president ever. We did have
wars, ended wars.
He went around
and all around the world, meeting the world leaders and having bringing peace across the frickin', the DMZ, the line in North Korea,
making peace all over the world. Peace treaties that had never been made before. And so it is possible.
Sure
that I don't know what it looks like, and maybe it's not him that does it. Maybe it looks totally different. I don't know. I just think there are things to come that we don't even know or understand yet. But
And I get where people are coming from. There needs to be a reckoning for the deeds that the horses that have been stolen. And I totally get that. I'm kind of in that camp in a lot of aspects. Because how do they continue? And maybe there's a lot of things like again, we always hear the stories of maybe it's already done. And then
it feels like it's already
reveal
done. Every time I
happens,
get on
like,
Facebook, I see, how many funerals happening. Oh my gosh. How many 50-year-olds are, being buried every day? I mean, it's kind of horrible.
Mhm.
But
yeah, so I mean, you've got a very interesting times, absolutely. But again, it comes down to, like you said, that community enforced the rules when the horse was stolen. I mean, they're not looking for a, government authority. I mean, you think about the wild, wild west. This expansion where you might have had a marshal, might have had a sheriff, you might have had somebody out there, but I mean, you think about it. What good's that person going to do when you've got the whole community saying this is what needs to be done, sheriff? Okay, I mean, that's what we're going to do. And so the community is very important, and you got to have a good community. You can't have a bunch of bad guys, running things. You need to have, those people not enforcing, but carrying out their values, their shared values, and that's what gets things done. I mean, that's what digs the ditches. That's what cleans up the ditches. That's what does, all the things. That's what, if somebody needs help, so that's who brings it. It's not FEMA that brings it.
right. No, it is
Dog world.
definitely the neighbors. Yeah, and being neighbors to each other and helping each other. So
Somebody talked about this in the chat.
Yeah.
That's one neighbor I don't want to have right there. That's why I'm not in Florida. Lord. Oh my. Yes. Mm-hmm. And then you're talking about free travel, and I got my other prop. You want to talk free travel? Now, that right there, my sister, is free travel. Mm-hmm. Oh boy, goes wherever he wants, does not respect boundaries. Mm-hmm. So live like a Sasquatch.
Live like a Sasquatch. Mm-hmm. That's too funny.
Amen. So be it. Yeah, interesting stuff. Speaking of amen, have you listened to any of the Cliff stuff lately?
I mean, I listen to it as often as I can. I do not. Amen does not trigger anything to me.
Oh no, I was just thinking amen because it's the word. He's talking about the Elohim and all that stuff and the religion that amen where it comes from. But all right, is what it is. So no, I listened to the one. He's got another date. What is it? July 16th, I think it is. Mm-hmm. Building tensions and then a release.
July 16th. He's been talking about that for quite a while.
The 16th.
The July 16th.
There's still, there's been, we had the whole remote viewing thing, and Cliff and his data. It was kind of targeting the spring of this year, and I don't know that we really had any of that fulfilled.
We didn't really have. Well, maybe we did, and we don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
Is that one of those things where we'll look back and we'll go, "Oh, that was it"?
It could be, and maybe that's what they were looking at. But they were both keying in on it, from different. I like to look at different forces, kind of different perspectives, and if they all align, makes me spidey sense goes up, that kind of thing. I guess we did have the eclipse in April. Maybe that's the hallmark moment.
That could have been it.
Yeah, it could be.
There's also, I got a notice from eBay saying that they cannot reach an agreement with American Express. And on August 17th, so 8, 1 + 7 is 8, 2024, which is 8, so 888, they will no longer be accepting American Express, and you need to put in a new payment method, and if you use American Express at all. And so I asked Johnny about it.
Yeah, this is where Johnny needs to pop in, right?
Yeah. And he was talking about a lot of places have a problem with American Express with their fees and
Yeah, they're
whatever.
higher.
But I thought that day specifically was strange for them to choose. Why
You know, that
817?
that triggered me because, sorry,
No, you're good.
I'm eating these cherries.
817
really
of,
good.
and so when I looked it up on Gematria, it's XRP is that day.
Get your XRP now. Hold it in your own possession.
Well, I wouldn't do that. That's
no.
my own
Well,
personal.
because half of it's held by somebody else, a big entity. That's where I got a problem. So the 8/8/88, I remember that date. And that was the date that in Wrigley Field, the Chicago Cubs finally got lights. That was the first night game in Wrigley Field. And I always remember that date. 8/8/88, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Cliff High had, remember his 8888 three times or something?
Yeah, it was like a
That
488
was an
or
old Cliff High
488.
data.
Yeah, it was the Bitcoin thing. You know,
Bitcoin
it
was
hit
going
that
to hit
level,
88.
boom, like the end of 2016, boom, boom, boom. And I remember exactly where I was. I was putting metal on that little back shed, you know, up on the roof listening to his podcast. And, you know, he's like, oh, he's going to do this. And 888, he's doing his podcast. And I'm like,
Three times.
huh, interesting. Yeah. And then sure enough, once it got past that, boom, never came back.
Yeah.
It's kept going.
Crazy. So where are we on silver? We're pretty solid at the
Whacked
30.
it down to under 30 today. Couple bucks,
Did
man.
they?
They nailed it. Yeah. They totally nailed it down before the weekend. Yep. So they're still playing shenanigans. Still got their levels. I don't know if there were, Bix would know if today was a date of delivery or something, or options or whatever it is. But yeah, they knocked it down. I think under $30 today. Hang on. Let me see. If I go to coinflation.com, I like to go to that because it has different metal tracking. Nickel, because I'm kind of into that right now. Nickel and copper. Yeah, 29.20. $2.15 today, like 10%. Yeah, they whacked the hell out of it. And then gold, $82 down. Yep. But, it's interesting that happens because we had the European Central Bank yesterday lowering interest rates. And if you watch Hash It Out, Stake has talked about that. Hey, we're going to see the other banks lowering interest rates. Because, we're in a stagflation situation kind of worldwide. They're printing the heck out of the money, but the cost of everything goes up and the wages don't keep up. So it is that kind of bad
Which
situation.
remember when I was showing you guys the cartoons with the stag ferns? And I was like, they're predicting stagflation, and that's why they're showing you those stag ferns.
Yep. And so, yeah, you've got those countries lowering rates, and so that stimulates, that allows more money to be created, borrowed at a cheaper rate. The U.S. is probably going to be last to do it. We are the last man standing because we are the most liquid currency in the world, and so yeah, the dollar may get stronger. I mean, it may, and that may affect oil getting cheaper. That may affect silver going down. That may affect metals going down. I look at it as an opportunity, like maybe your last opportunity to buy things that you can hold in your possession before it all just spirals out of control. And again, I talked about it last night. I don't know. Markets stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Think about that. And so be very careful in thinking that this is it. But you got to be positioned, because when it does happen, you either got a position or you're completely out of position, and you're never going to get what you want. So, you got to be patient, accumulate the things you need while making decisions in your life that put you in a position of freedom. No debt, that kind of thing. So it's a crazy time. I mean, it really is. But I think we all chose to be here at this moment.
It is so wild to think that that we live our life, wake up every day, and we make these choices, we go to the store and we do these things, and then that there's these leaders that make these rules that like we live under the threat of losing our home or
Right.
being jailed or
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? That
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really insane
It is insane.
that we live under this tyrannical
Mhm.
government.
Yeah.
And these that we really are in a situation where you're facing like a Waco like situation if they really come to your door.
Yeah.
Or I mean, what are
Right.
your options?
And that's where we're at right now. And what changes that is more people not buying into the Matrix, not believing that, oh, Koresh had it coming. Oh, he had a harem of young girls. I don't know. I don't know the truth. I mean, nobody knows the truth. But you go in and firebomb a bunch of people and blow it up and burn it down and kill, a bunch of kids. That's probably not a good thing, So we've got to get to a point to where nobody says, hurrah, rahoo, this is, this is a good thing, that we killed a bad guy. I mean, dude, if you think everybody in government and everybody in, leading things, if ever, all these people are good guys and, we're doing the right thing and we're spreading freedom around the world, then you need to take a hard look at yourself, knowing what you know now and how they've lied. And that's what's being exposed. They've lied about everything. And are you better off now than you were 40 years ago? Are you better off now than you were 80 years ago? Are you better? You know what I mean? And it's just, you got to really look at it and see how they've devalued your energy and how they're trying to exclude you.
Protecting freedom here. How are we saying that we're protecting freedom in the rest of the world if we're not even protecting freedom here?
Yeah, we got a wide open border. Biden might do something about it, though. It's piecemeal. Okay, let's. Natives are getting restless. Let's. I mean, it's so obvious. And I had that conversation with a sales rep for our company today. He's like, "How do 50% of the people not see what's going on?" And I talked to him a while about stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, I know. It's absolutely insane." And I said, I don't think the numbers are that high. I think that there are people who have a vested interest in maintaining what lifestyle they have left, and the system provides that. But I mean, for the greater good, if you gave them an opportunity and said, "Hey, listen, if we do this, and basically, if we change the monetary supply and hit the red button like Catherine Austin Fitts says, then we're able to live freely and do the things we need to do." I don't know. How many people would say yes? I think more and more people will say yes. Okay, we're done. We've had enough. We're tired of abuse. We're tired of getting kicked around. We're tired of looking over our shoulder all the time when we're doing nothing wrong. I think we're getting closer to that moment. But again, throughout history, it doesn't happen on one day. Rome doesn't fall on this date, this time. And you can put a time date on it, but it doesn't. It doesn't happen. And so we're living through one of those moments to where we're having massive change, empires falling, transition happening, and we'll look back and say, "Oh yeah, it happened in this time period." This 100-year period is when we had the transition. And then you look at the scope of history, and it's like, 100 years, like the Roman Empire. It took several years for it to collapse. Some people say it never collapsed. It's still the seeds of it, continue to grow somewhere else. So
it's clearly collapsing. That was another thing Bukele was saying. He was like, I don't know where the height of civilization was, but you can see civilization goes in waves, and
right now we're not
clearly coming down off of it.
Yeah, we're clearly not at the height of the art.
When someone can't when it benefits a thief more than a business owner for a store to be open, you are not in, civilization is collapsing.
Yeah, when an Italian restaurant that's been there for 100 years or a pizza place that's been there for 100 years in New York has to go under because of government mandates, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And then Domino's flourishes, and the corporate pizza places just use, hate to say Domino's, and I don't want to call them out, but I mean the corporate pizza places do well because they deliver and they have an app and they have these things. Is that really a good thing? Is that the height of civilization?
Yeah,
Is it the height of
who stayed
civilization when the
open.
local store owner goes out of business and you should have invested in Amazon and Walmart, and those companies because they did well as they ate you up? I mean, is that a good thing for people? A good thing for communities? I don't think it is. It might be good for Wall Street and investors, but is that us? Is that real? Just saying.
No,
That's a vampire casino.
it is. That's why
If
we
you're in
gotta
it,
shop
you got to get out of it.
local. Yeah, look for local opportunities.
Yeah,
That's
don't
why
be putting your
the
money in
invest-
Nvidia, and then thinking that, oh my gosh, AI is going to change the world. Okay, yeah, it will. But be careful what you wish for. You might get it.
Right. Yeah, I do see people like turning to the next best thing. We see this in crypto too, where it's like, oh, the number go up thing, and they're chasing it's like, okay, blockchain. Okay, now it's always like, what's the next best thing? Then it's NFT. Then it's
How can I get rich?
chatbot. Then it's
What's Roaring
AI.
Kitty have to say?
What's that?
What's Roaring Kitty have to say today on his live stream?
Yeah, I don't care.
I know,
But it's
right?
always like, what's the next best thing? And I was talking with Uncle Cliff about, because he had that challenge where it's like, hey, use Reggie's IP and send me the idea for exchanging silver, blah, 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 whatever. So like I submitted an idea and I was like, blah, 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 this. And I think this is this. And he was like, and I included using AI. And he was like, this is good, but not this part, whatever. And I was like, oh, well, he's like, why do you want to use AI for this one piece? And I was like, well, because this is this. And he's like, good thought, but wrong tool or programming. You don't need AI for this. And I was like, oh. He's like, you can still use your thought, but use this different programming tool. And I was like, oh, okay. So like we get so caught up in the next latest, greatest tool when there's good tools. Sometimes you just need a hammer.
There's tools, exactly. There's a freaking nail in the wall. I just need a claw hammer. I mean, I don't need to have something to say, well, what's the best tool to use this? I mean, what's the most efficient way to pull that nail out? Just pull it out.
Sometimes simple is best.
Yes.
We don't have to get so complicated.
It reminds me of the Rube Goldberg devices. If you go back and look at Rube Goldberg, and if you ever seen, and I know you don't like me bringing this up, but Pee Wee Herman, Pee Wee's Big Adventure in like 1986, I think it was. When he wakes up, he's got all these gadgets, for his breakfast, and all these things. This goes like mousetrap, Oh, this rolls down, and then this goes up, and then this does this, and next thing, pour some syrup on the pancakes to get flipped and all that. That's a Rube Goldberg device. It's like massive overkill with all these little intricacies and all these things that need to happen.
Right.
Yeah, it's overcomplicate the simple. And that's what happens. I mean, we overcomplicate the simple things, and it's just like, did you really need to go through all that to do it? I mean, probably not. I mean, keep it simple, stupid. Let me give you a kiss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of kids,
that's what sells.
There was one tweet today that I skimmed through, and I saw Gene Simmons really pushing hard for everyone to make sure to get their thing and be extra healthy. And I think those promo things are going to haunt those people that were really promoting all that.
Absolutely. When you look back, and I mean, people have put compilations together of all these stars, and Gene Simmons is one of them, one of the worst. It's Jimmy Kimmel, another one. I mean, just dogging people, because you need to comply. You're bad. You don't deserve to have, I mean, and it's just, okay. That's not a free society that is able to make choices. And it's just that, but somebody's funding them. Somebody puts them in those positions. Somebody fills the audience, and that's not reality. I mean, it's not reality. And when you look at the reality of the situation, we just had not that this is related, but we just had a, young, strong man, the Kansas City Chiefs, the world champions, Super Bowl champs. They were in a team meeting today, and he had I don't know, heart attack or a stroke just in the team meeting.
Mm.
I mean, how does that happen? I don't know, but it happened. And it's just, I don't remember these things happening. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just, but there's consequences to everything, decisions that you make. And when you don't make the decisions on your own with your own beliefs and stick steadfast to who you are, what you believe in, and you comply, and you think that these people have your best interest in mind, they don't. I mean, they're getting paid by somebody to put out a message, and they don't care about you. And so, you care about you, and you need to care about your family. You need to care about other people that, you can support and help. And just, the reality of what's been done will come out, and it's a rude awakening.
It is.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself. Anything else we need to talk about? I know we need to make sure everybody checks out all the information at clintwestwood.net for the upcoming meetup.
Yes, let me look at my list. I didn't write it down today. We had
I've got to go check on Cannonball here pretty quick.
Yep, we'll wrap it up, and then I'll do a spaces. I thought it was interesting that the Hunter Biden thing, with the whole gun, were you on drugs when you got the gun? Did you check the box?
Yeah, the trial was this week, huh?
Yeah, the trial. And one of the arguments, or one of the ways that they thought they might win, one of the strategies was maybe we can use jury nullification to win this trial. Very interesting. Something we should all learn about, jury nullification.
What is jury nullification?
That's when they nullify the crime and or the law itself, to where you can, I think John Jay, the original Supreme Court Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in the United States, actually said that I think it was John Jay, the jury sits not, and this is a precedent before that, the jury sits in judgment of not the crime, but also the law, that might say that the crime's wrong. So in other words, look at it this way. Congress can pass anything they want, make any law they want. The president can sign it. Doesn't mean that it's a just law, and a jury of 12 people can sit there and say, yes, he's guilty of committing that crime and violating that law. However, we're not going to convict because we think it's an unjust law. And so that's the power of the jury to say no. People.
Precedence on the law itself, does that change the law?
It doesn't change the law. No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't change the law.
But just in that situation.
In that situation, yes, the jury can say, no, we're not convicting because we don't think it's a just law. And so, if enough juries do that, then it puts pressure, and then maybe they change the law. It's just like, hey, we got to return this guy back to the state because he's a slave and he's property. However, if a jury said that, no, we're not going to do that because we don't believe that slavery is the right thing, and so he gets to go free. And if enough do that, then it changes a mindset, and and it's, again, it's power to the people ultimately, to where you have 12 people who can say no, or one person really that says, no, we're not going to convict. And 11 people can say yes, and one says no. You don't convict. You can't. You got to be unanimous. So realize the power that you have and exercise that power. And it's legal power. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, we have more power than we know. We're just being deceived into thinking that we don't really have any control over our lives, and we need to look over our shoulders, follow the rules that have been put in place. Might makes right, so don't rock the boat. Rock the boat, maritime law, right?
Oh man, I'm ready to get off that boat. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are amazing. Yes, trust yourself, Jim Montgomery says. We are all planning on being at Metamora, Illinois, ready for the Clint Westwood Litecoin Lisa meetup. Find more information at clintwestwood.net. There's tons of information there, but mostly information about the meetup. We're super excited to see everybody, and really looking forward to hanging out with everybody. I will try to jump on Spaces tonight, depending on how Cannonball's feeling, and looking forward to seeing all of you guys soon in Illinois. So
Absolutely. So, hey, everybody, you got great people in this chat. Send good energy.
mhm.
Give it to Cannon. Big hugs, virtual
Yep.
hugs. Send your love, and help him feel better.
Yes, thank you guys.
And Lisa too.
Thanks. Looking forward to seeing all of you soon. Thanks, and see you guys soon. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Trust yourselves.